Hello and welcome back to the railway. We're just going to bring the Caledonian single up to the buffer stop here, and then we're going to have a look at trying Railways Diesel Railcar. We'll just open point 11 and then bring her out of the station onto the inside line. There she comes across the points, and we'll close them behind her. And there, as she gathers a little speed, we can hear the noise of knurled wheels on steel track. This is made up of three separate units: the power car R.157 and the dummy trailer car R.158, and then there's the centre car R.408. Both the power car and the dummy car first became available in 1958 and remained in the catalogue until 1966. The centre unit didn't come along until 1961, but remained available till 1967. And we're going to have a brief stop here at the station whilst we set points number 9, and then we're going to bring her across onto the passing route, and then we'll close the points behind her. Passing behind the engine sheds here, and then between the start and finish of the incline up to point number 4, and then we'll bring her to a gentle stop and close the points behind her. Looking at them in a little more detail, this is the powered unit. If we turn it over, we can see the X121 motor bogie here with the ribbed wheels. We have a dummy bogie at the other end, and this underframe detail is a separately fitted moulding. If we look underneath the non-powered unit, you can see we have the same dummy bogies front and back, but the underframe detail is a completely different moulding to the powered unit. Looking at the sides, the powered unit has an extra door at the back here and a different window arrangement to the non-powered unit. The powered unit is also the only one in the set that has a decal on it, and this is an early-ish decal. It has the green printed background. The later ones had a see-through section in here so you could see the colour of the coach through the decal. Looking at the centre coach here, it shares the same bogies as the other two units, and the underframe detail is the same as the non-powered unit. None of these items have got seats fitted. Seats didn't come along till 1961, and they were an optional extra. By the end of the year they were fitted as standard. The coach, the centre coach, didn't arrive until 1961, and when it did, it had ribbed roof right from the very start. Whereas the non-powered unit and the powered unit had smooth roofs from the beginning and didn't get ribbed roofs until 1961. Looking from this angle, we've got this wonderful cab detail here, and we've got the corridor connection on the end of the centre coach. Now I think these must be white lights here painted across the front. I think they're a terrific effect painted out in white like this. And the yellow line follows in from the side and around the front of the cab, top and bottom. Bright red buffer beam, metal buffers, standard tri-ring decouplings. And again, having turned them around, we can see that the end of each unit has a corridor connection to match up with the corridor connections on the centre coach. I've just unscrewed and unclipped the roof, so we'll take that off and have a quick look inside. You can see the large securing screw here for the motor bogie. There is a little crack in the bodywork here, not too bad. And if I hold it to one side, you can see the glazing sheet here, just held in by these little pegs that run right the way along the inside. And it's the same down both sides, a very simple, effective method. If I hold it the other way around, we can just see the motor bogie hiding in there. If I turn it the other way, look down towards the cab, I don't know whether you can see, but there is actually some detail there where the driver would be sitting. Some attempt at cab detail. It is quite basic. I think we'll get it back together now. I think I'd said before that it was quite normal for items to be sold separately in these early trying Railways days. Locomotive and tender in two separate boxes. And again, with this diesel rail car, you had R.157, the power unit in this lift-off lid box, and we had the trailer car R.158 in this BQ box with end flaps. And then when the centre car came along, it was just in the BQ box with end flaps as well, R.408. We'll just get her slotted back on the track here, and then we'll see if we can get her off and running again. That looks good. When we were looking before, we didn't mention the destination board here. It's not illuminated. It looks like it could be though, doesn't it? There was a version of this available in the sort of mid-60s, and it came with sticky labels which could be applied here with different destination names on. Also there's a variant with a yellow warning panel here. And again, later in 1970, it was available in a shade of British Rail blue with a dark grey roof. And then much later, in the mid-70s, it was available with an illuminated head code here, but in a different shade of green. I think we'll give this a little power and see if we can get her off and running again. And away she goes, quite smoothly for a model of this age. And it's always hard to date these things, but I think this model comes from around 1959 to 1960. Given that it has smooth roofs, no seats, Mark III couplings and a solid background on the decal, and the style of boxes. As the centre car has no seats fitted, I think this dates it early 1961, the year in which it was released. The seating unit became available later that year, and I think it was then fitted as standard on this model. The other two parts, the diesel rail car and its trailer car, had an optional seating unit which was available I think from around 1960, although there are different dates for this, it depends where you read. And we'll open point 7, the crossover, and bring her back onto the inside line. And just close those behind her, and around past the Caledonian single with its beautiful coaches, and we'll head off back towards the station. And we'll open points number 11, and in she goes. Over all the points, this beautiful long shot coming alongside the station to a gentle stop. And there she is, waiting safely at the station for another load of passengers. I think we'll just move along here and we'll get this B12 back round to the turntable and into the engine sheds. So we'll open point 13, and then away she goes. And then we'll close point 11, and off she goes to the turntable. A couple of weeks ago we had the turntable open and had a look inside, and I'd mistakenly said that 2 contacts supplied power to the outlet tracks. If we look back at the earlier video, you can see I was only really covering the problem of the cog underneath the turntable bridge and how to take a slightly kinder approach to it. I hadn't intended to get involved in discussing how power is taken to the outlet tracks. So we'll have another look at the turntable and how the power is taken from the inlet track to the outlet tracks. I've already taken the screw out and taken away the roof from the operator's hut here. Here we can see the green cable and the brown cable. And if I turn the bridge over, we can follow those over to these 2 contacts, and we can see the 2 cables there supplying the motor. These would take their power from these 2 rings. Now if I just turn that over, we can see the wiring here supplying power to those 2 rings, and it would be fed in through these 2 plugs here. If I turn it back over again, and we keep the bridge upside down, these are the contacts which deal with supplying power to the outlet tracks. Power from the inlet track is supplied to these 3 sets of eyes, and these would line up with one of these 3 sets. At the other end, the bridge is choosing an outlet track. It has a corresponding set of eyes, so the power is transferred to the appropriate outlet track. If I can just rotate that, you could see how that works. Okay, if I just turn it over again, we can see the contacts on the other side. This is the inlet side, and these insulated with card between these copper strips here. So Power's fed through the rails to the other contact and it supplies the outlet track. And if we turn it again, power comes in here, supplied to the outlet track. So there is no power to the bridge whilst it's in motion, so the train cannot be moved whilst it's being rotated unless it's lining up with the track and there happens to be power on, which is unlikely. Turn that back over again, and I think we should have a look at that in action now. So we'll just stop the B12 there while we have a closer look at the picture. If we look to the bottom right of the turntable, we can see where the power is delivered. And then if we look at inset picture top right here, we can see the brass rings underneath the turntable bridge and the contacts pressing down from the bridge. And then if we look at inset picture on the left here, we can see these cables from these contacts carry the power up to the motor through the bridge. As we have the turntable set, the current is delivered to the centre track, track number 2. Just after the turntable, there's a point, so we could switch the current towards the green locomotive on the left, or keep the point straight towards the black locomotive. If the points are set straight, there's an isolating track just after them, which would protect anything after the point. This would enable anything to use the turntable, either to roll onto the centre track or just to roll onto the turntable and turn around. Now if we rotate the turntable counterclockwise towards track number 1 on the left, we'll find the current is now supplied from the inlet track through to track 1 and the other tracks remain isolated. On track 1 there's an isolating track situated back towards the engine sheds. This would enable me to keep 2 locomotives on this track. So we'll now roll her off the turntable, and as she gets to the isolating track she'll come to a stop. Then we can throw the switch and roll her back towards the buffer stop. And we'll roll her forward, back onto the turntable, and we'll rotate clockwise towards track number 3. So now she's lined up with track number 3, the current will be supplied by the inlet track across the bridge and into track 3. This can then be directed either straight ahead to the left track in the engine shed, or throwing the points we can direct it to the right in the engine shed. So this leaves tracks 1 and 2 completely isolated. I think we'll leave the locomotive there and return the bridge on the turntable to line up with the inlet track. This gives us the potential to have 6 locomotives isolated in the tracks off the turntable while turning a 7th. I think we'll leave that there this week. I hope that explanation of how the power is delivered to the turntable motor and the power is delivered separately from the inlet tracks to the outlet tracks was clear enough. I'll leave you this week with page 2 from the 1960 catalogue, which shows the diesel railcar with its trailer car and the optional seating units which may have become available in this year. Thank you very much for watching, and if you look back again next week, we'll have a look at something else from this early Triangle Railways period. Goodbye now.